Hey folks, LA here, TA Today. I want to talk about uranium stocks. I haven't talked about them since middle of October, I believe. And back then, what I said was, hey, you're probably going to get a range set up as a result of these big spikes that took place. Now, this is the Uranium Trust Fund. And as you can see here, that big spike we're talking about was this one. Got a push right there, and I said, hey, we're probably going to get a range. Looked like a range was trying to develop, and then what does it do? It finds its way higher. So the physical continues to work its way higher. You've got some targets out here on the physical that says this thing can go to 33. That's on the intermediate term time frame. You got 28 written all over the short-term time frame, which is just slightly ahead. So a little bit more push, maybe a little bit consolidation, and then move on up to 33. What has that done to the stocks themselves? Well, if we move over to URA and URNM, which are the two primary ETFs that cover this group, URA actually having more utilities type stocks in it as well, you've got that consolidation really trying to still hold. Now, this was the top when I said consolidation. Usually you would think it would try to come back to this retest regen. So it gets that dip, which was expected, comes back up and test, and now it continues to test just slightly over it. Now, this is a function of the fact that the physical doesn't want to come in, and that's holding these uranium stocks up higher. Volume's not there. This is a nice pattern, though. You can see it almost looks like kind of a cup and handle type situation if you're back in the classical stuff. But in my view, this is a retest regen taking place, with the breakout being here on this bar, and these are all retesting. So it's like 4 retest regens. Usually your odds are decreasing each time you retest, and that's probably true here, but it's held very well. What's going to happen, in my opinion, is we're going to see one of two things take place. Or one option is that you actually come back in deeper and you retest this whole price point again, get to the bottom of it, potentially get even lower. That's one scenario, and that would only happen if you see some sort of a dip in the physical. Are we going to get a dip in the physical? Potentially, right? We got those ABCD structures that point to 28.5 or so. Once you hit that, maybe you come back into 26, 27. That could get the dip here, because these certainly will react more violently. The other thing that could happen is that this thing just says, I've consolidated enough, I'm just going to move higher. And that would be on the other side, is if the physical just continues to grind higher towards that 33 target that we just talked about. Now, if we go over, the other thing that's happening is over here on a monthly time frame, is they're still dealing with what I call left hand resistance, right? And that's in this price point where you had a swing point high. You did get the breakouts back here when you got them back here on the weeklies, and these breakouts now are trying to grind up and test that high. That high had decent volume on it at the time. We had some good volume here. We're pushing about equal volume if you just draw it across. And so I think this is really what's taking place. And if you look at this is really a big range here with a midpoint there. And so if you get a consolidation, if you get this thing to pull back, it could pull back into about a 24, 25 number, and that's what you see here. So that's the scenario on the URA. If we look at the URNM, help us help you, hit the like and subscribe buttons. It actually is showing something similar. It hasn't been quite as strong. Here's your swing point high. There's the breakout, or the swing point high got broke. The retest regen, when we talked about the top was on this bar. And there's your retest. If you wanted to get a full retest, that would be back to here. That's never been tested. Again, these are sweet spots if you ever get it to come back that deep. That's a fairly significant drop, though. We're talking, 15, 20%. It's hard to believe you're going to get that kind of a number. I would think that anything in this 45 down to 43 range is probably where you want to pick it up, and that's looking at the weekly on the On the monthly, you've got the same situation where they're dealing with the left-hand resistance as well. And so overall, what do you got? You got some distribution taking place here at the highs. You got it taking place on the URA at the highs. Is it going to end up being consolidation that leads to another spurt higher? I think that all depends on the physical, and the physical itself still looking extremely strong, but some targets short term coming up very soon. That's it for this time. Have a great one. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.